Now, we have seen email is working and working perfectly well, but this is for people within our organization, people connecting to our mail server. But our customers or people external to our organization need to know the mail exchange servers, the MTAs that we have running within our domain. And we do that by adding in MX records, so which are the mail exchange servers to exchange mail between different domains. We can go through and edit our DNS zone. For us, that was db.local. We can put our MX record or multiple MX records. Here we're using the local domain, internet record for our mail exchange servers. The number 10 is just a priority here. If we have multiple mail servers, we can set a priority, so which one is connected to before others. Again, we're putting ubuntu2.local. The dot at the end means that it's a fully qualified domain name, and we don't append our current domain to the end of the name. We can check the configuration of our zone, and if that is okay, we can then reload our zone. With that reloaded, we should be able to go ahead and use our dig command, checking for the MX records for our local domain. So getting us to review some of the things that we've done previously with our DNS server, but looking at how it then interacts with our email services that we have set up. But with that done and dusted, we're going to move out to the command line, because it's the command line where we're really going to get the good practice. And my recommendation is to set this up multiple times. Don't just do it once. Get that muscle memory really working. So we're going to look at our MX records. We're going to add our MX records to DNS. We're going to test our configuration and reload it. And again, going back over things that we've already seen. And then, of course, we're going to use the dig commands to check those records that we've added. So come on, let's find that command line. Now, I don't know about you, but this looks like a perfectly good command line. A perfectly good command line. Well, we can go through and remind ourselves how to edit our domain database for DNS. So we're going to move in with our preferred editor, and we're going to look in etc/bind. Inside of the bind subdirectory, we created a zones directory. And inside of this, we've got then our database files, so db.l for local and tab complete. So this is a file that we created in our earlier module when we were looking at DNS. We can go through and hit enter on this, and we can go through and insert a new line, and we're going to be specifying that we want for the local domain. So I can use local dot, or I could use the @ symbol, and that represents the domain name. I prefer being a little bit more verbose, just so we know what we're doing. We can then go through and add in an internet record. Our record type is of MX or mail exchange. Next, we set the priority, and the priority with the lowest number is the mail exchange server that is going to be contacted first. This allows us a level of redundancy if this server's not available. For us, it doesn't really matter because we've only got one MTA, so I'm just putting in a priority of 10. We can equally put in a priority of 0, and then, of course, that's always going to be the lowest number. And then we're going to go through and specify Ubuntu 2. If I just put Ubuntu 2, it's going to append .local on the end in any case, but we might as well put a fully qualified name, so local dot. When it's a fully qualified domain name, we put the dot at the end. Just make sure we've got the extra clear line at the end of our file. And with that done, we're just about ready. It's looking good, so I can go through and save my file. So escape, and W. But I've got to remember, though, I almost forgot, that I do need to change the serial number. So let's just move up to our serial number and just increment it. So I'm going to change it. In my case, it's going to go from 6 through to 7. So once we've got that then set, we are now truly ready to save and exit. So I can escape and X, and we're done and dusted with this. Now, if in your command line history, you've already got some of your commands, then you can go through and call them up from history. So if I go through and do, let's say, a Control R, and then look for check zone, that is what I want. We can see then sudo name -check zone local dot, and we can see then it's making reference to our file. So that all seems okay. We're not going to get any problems. If I do a Control R again, and we want to reload that, if I look for reload, again, looking at the command, sudo rndc reload the local domain and our internet records. So we can hit enter, and then we've reloaded that information. So again, being clever with our command line history, we should be able to get back to commands relatively easily without having to worry about the syntax. We can then go through and check our records. So dig. Remember, our domain is just called local. Maybe it could have been called example.local, but we just called it local. So local dot for MX records. We want to make sure that we are getting an answer section, and we are. But we could also clear our screen and then just put plus short at the end. So we just get to see the MX record coming back. So everything is up and running, and people will be able to resolve then our mail servers now that we have our MX records in place. We're going to move now back to our slides, so we might summarize just a little of what we've looked at in setting up mail servers in Ubuntu.